Okay, so let's get into it. There's been a really big announcement shaking things up in the beauty world. It involves two brands you probably know, maybe for quite different reasons.
Right. You've got E.l.f. Beauty on one side, super well known for being affordable, great with digital stuff, really connected online.
And then there's Rhode. You know, Hailey Bieber's skincare line. Sort of minimalist, very successful, seemed to just burst onto the scene, a couple of years back?
Yeah, exactly. Launched in 2022.
And the huge news connecting them, E.l.f. Beauty is actually acquiring Rhode.
And the price tag is, well, it's pretty eye-popping, potentially up to $1 billion.
$1 billion. Okay, so our mission here, as always, is to really unpack the details based only on the source material you've shared with us. We want to understand, why E.l.f. is doing this, the strategy behind it.
And what the sources tell us about Rhode's incredible rise, plus the wider context around this whole deal.
Right, and it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How did a brand less than 3 years old with just, 10 products?
Only 10 products, yeah.
How does that reach a potential $1 billion valuation? It says a lot about maybe celebrity brands, the market.
Definitely. What does it mean for the future? That's the big question we want to explore based on these articles.
Okay, let's start with the deal itself. The mechanics of it. You mentioned up to $1 billion.
Yeah, that's the total potential figure. The sources break it down. $800 million is the upfront payment.
$800 million upfront. Is that cash? Stock?
It's a mix, according to the reports. Cash and stock.
Got it. So that's the guaranteed part. But you said up to $1 billion, so there's more.
There's another potential $200 million. It's an earn-out based on how Rhode performs over the next 3 years.
Okay. So hitting growth targets is key to getting that full $1 billion. Makes sense.
Exactly. Performance-based.
And when is this all supposed to happen? When does the deal close?
The sources are pointing towards the second quarter of E.l.f.'s fiscal 2026. So that means later this calendar year.
Later this year. And for E.l.f., this is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, huge. One source, citing FactSet, actually called it E.l.f.'s biggest acquisition ever.
Ever. Wow. That really puts it into perspective. Okay, so speaking of big, let's talk about Rhode's journey. Because 2022, that's not long ago at all.
It's incredibly fast, and the growth rate is what really jumps out from the reports. E.l.f.'s CEO, Tarang Amin, was apparently just stunned.
What did she say?
He said Rhode went from 0 to $212 million in net sales in less than 3 years, specifically the 12 months ending March 31st.
Hold on. 0 to over $200 million with only 10 products in under 3 years.
I know. It's kind of hard to believe. Amin himself said he was blown away, that he didn't think that was possible. He called it a level of disruption. Disruption.
That feels like the right word. And they did this mostly direct-to-consumer at first.
Primarily, yeah. The sources mentioned direct-to-consumer only was the main model initially.
And obviously Hailey Bieber is central to this. The sources say she launched with co-founders, but her profile, that must have been huge.
Absolutely key. Her influence is cited as a major factor in reaching that billion-dollar status so quickly.
Is there any data in the sources that shows that influence?
Yes, actually. There's a really interesting statistic about earned media value, or EMV. Rhode was supposedly the #1 skincare brand in EMV in 2023.
#1. And what was the growth like?
Get this. 367% year-over-year growth in earned media value.
367%. In earned media. So that's not paid advertising, that's buzz, basically.
Exactly. It's organic reach, mentions influencer marketing that feels natural. It really shows you the power of, a strong founder profile and that kind of viral momentum today.
It's a different playbook, isn't it? Compared to traditional marketing spend.
Totally different. That 367% really quantifies the impact of that digital-first founder-led approach.
Okay, so let's switch to E.l.f. then. Why this move? Why Rhode? What's their strategic thinking, according to the sources?
Well, the main reason stated is pretty clear. They want to expand much more significantly into skincare.
Right, they're known mostly for makeup, even though they have some skincare.
Exactly. This really deepens their presence in that category. But it's also about the customer.
How so?
It brings in a different kind of consumer. The sources point out the price difference. E.l.f.'s core products are around, $6.50?
Yeah, super accessible.
Whereas Rhode's average is in the high $20. So, Amin mentioned this brings in a different consumer set, likely a higher income consumer.
Interesting. So, new demographic, but same approach.
That's what he suggested, yeah. applying the same approach to engagement that's worked so well for E.l.f.'s existing audience.
And this isn't their first skincare play recently, is it?
No, good point. They bought Naturium back in 2023 for $355 million, so this builds on that.
Okay. And E.l.f.'s own strengths seem like a good fit here, right? Their digital know-how?
Definitely. The sources highlight that. E.l.f.'s digital skill, their huge online following, their sort of natural-feeling TikTok marketing.
Yeah.
It all seems very complementary to how Rhode built its success.
Makes sense. And what about Hailey Bieber's take on it? What did she say?
She was quoted saying she's excited to bring Rhode to more faces, places, and spaces. And she mentioned her vision of essential skincare and hybrid makeup.
Places and spaces. That sounds like retail expansion.
Bingo! That's the next big piece mentioned in the articles. Moving beyond just DTC.
Okay, so where are they planning to go? Is it a big rollout?
It sounds like it. The sources specifically mention a rollout into Sephora stores.
Sephora, wow. Okay, where?
Across North America and the UK, and it's happening soon expected before the end of this year.
Sephora is a huge step for visibility. What do analysts think about that?
Goldman Sachs analysts, according to one article, see this retail move as a key factor supporting future growth.
Right, gets the product in front of a whole new audience.
Yeah.
Now, Hailey Bieber, she's not just taking the money and running, is she?
No, not at all. The sources are clear she's staying very involved.
What's her role going to be?
She's going to be Chief Creative Officer and Head of Innovation for Rhode. Plus, she'll be a strategic advisor to E.l.f. Beauty overall.
So still driving the creative vision, product innovation, marketing.
Exactly. She's quoted saying something like, "This next chapter is going to be even more incredible together. This is only the beginning."
Sounds like she's fully committed to this next phase under E.l.f.
It definitely signals that. But, while this is a really exciting strategic move, the sources also bring in some important context about the timing and the financial environment for E.l.f. right now.
Ah, okay. What's the context there? The articles mention things are a bit tricky.
Yeah, they described it as an uncertain and difficult time for E.l.f. The main issue flagged is tariffs.
Tariffs? From there?
China. E.l.f. apparently sources about 75% of its products from China.
75%. Okay. And what's the impact?
They're facing a 30% duty on those exports coming into the U.S.
Ouch. That's got to hurt margins.
Absolutely. And the sources say E.l.f. is actually planning to raise prices by $1 on many items starting August 1st, partly to offset these higher costs.
$1 increase.
Okay.
But it's more than just the current cost, right?
Yeah.
There's uncertainty.
That's the bigger issue highlighted. Potential changes to U.S. tariff policy under a possible Trump administration, for example, create a wide range of potential outcomes. It's unpredictable.
So unpredictable they can't even give guidance.
That's what the sources state. E.l.f. isn't providing a financial outlook for fiscal 2026 because of this tariff uncertainty. The CEO even mentioned they've paid duties over 145% in the past before reductions came in.
Wow. So huge potential variability in their costs.
Right. And these current higher costs are expected to show up in their earnings starting in Q1 of fiscal 2026.
Okay, so biggest acquisition ever, potentially $1 billion, happening while facing major tariff headwinds and uncertainty so significant they can't provide guidance. That's bold. How are they paying for the deal again?
Well, remember the $800 million up front. The sources say $600 million of that is being funded with debt.
$600 million in debt.
Yeah. And the articles specifically note they're taking on this debt at a time of high interest rates.
Okay, so debt funding in a high-rate environment, plus the tariff issues. The sources seem to frame this as a pretty big gamble then?
It definitely comes across as a significant bet. As one article put it, it's a bet that people will keep buying prestige skincare like Rhode, even if the economy slows down or enters a recession.
A bet on the resilience of that higher-end consumer.
Seems like it. Though, to be fair, the sources also reported E.l.f.'s most recent quarterly results were actually quite strong.
Oh, yeah? What do they look like?
Fiscal fourth quarter, they beat Wall Street estimates, both revenue and earnings.
Okay, any numbers?
Adjusted earnings per share were 78 cents, expected was 72. Revenue came in at $333 million versus the $328 million forecast.
So they outperformed expectations recently.
Yeah, and net income was way up too. $28.3 million compared to $14.5 million the year before. Sales up about 4%. So While growth might be slowing from its previous rapid pace and tariffs are a concern for investors, this last quarter was a positive signal.
Got it. Now, there was also a slightly different angle in the source material
Right.
from page 6, focusing more on the personal side.
Yes, that source focused on Hailey Bieber's reaction immediately after the news broke. It described her going out for dinner solo on Wednesday night.
Where was that?
Alba restaurant in West Hollywood, according to the article. It even described what she wore: a leggy look, strapless dress, sunglasses, heels.
Okay. And what about Justin Bieber's reaction based on that source?
Page 6 reported he shared a couple of photos on Instagram hugging Hailey. The source made a point of mentioning his hands were on her chest in the photos. He also apparently reshared Hailey's own post celebrating the deal.
Did he add any comment?
The source specifically noted he didn't put a caption on his posts.
Interesting. And did that source add any other context?
It did, from its perspective. It mentioned a past incident about a comment he supposedly made on her Vogue cover that he later removed. It also noted he hadn't posted about Rhode's earlier Sephora announcement.
And some other background points were mentioned too.
Yeah, just briefly, presented as reported context. Things like his canceled tour due to health issues, some reports about money struggles, and mentions of rumors about their marriage, which the source notes Hailey herself addressed in Vogue with that quote about, "These bitches are gonna be mad."
Okay. So page 6 provides that sort of celebrity-focused backdrop to the business news.
Right. Presented as part of the narrative surrounding the founder at this major moment.
Okay, let's try and tie all these threads together then. We've got the deal structure, Rhode's explosive DTC growth, E.l.f.'s strategic move into prestige, skincare, and retail,
Hailey's ongoing role, the big retail push with Sephora, and then this financial backdrop of tariffs and debt for E.l.f.
So synthesizing all that from the sources, what's the big picture here?
Well, it looks like a really symbiotic move, strategically speaking. E.l.f. gets this proven, super fast-growing brand in prestige skincare, tapping into that higher-income customer.
And Rhode gets
E.l.f.'s muscle, their operational scale, their experience, the path to massive global distribution, especially getting into physical stores like Sephora, and maybe leveraging E.l.f.'s marketing engine even further.
So combining E.l.f.'s scale and operational strength with Rhode's brand heat and specific market position.
Exactly. But as the sources really emphasize, it's happening against a complex financial background for E.l.f.
Right. The size of the deal, the debt financing in this interest rate environment, and that big question mark hanging over them with the tariffs.
Yeah, it's a major strategic play, clearly aimed at capturing growth and a new market segment. But it's also a significant financial commitment made during a time of considerable external pressure, as described in the articles.
It's definitely a high-stakes move, a strong belief in Rhode's potential, clearly.
For sure. Believing that brand power and the push into retail will overcome the current headwinds.
Okay, so to quickly recap, E.l.f. Beauty pulls off its largest acquisition ever, bringing Hailey Bieber's Rhode skincare into the fold for up to $1 billion. We've seen Rhode's incredible growth from zero to over $200 million in sales, largely DTC with just 10 products.
We've seen E.l.f.'s strategy to push deeper into skincare, reach a wealthier customer, and the plan to leverage its scale to take Rhode into major retail like Sephora, with Hailey Bieber staying on in key creative roles.
And we've acknowledged the significant financial context, the tariff challenges impacting E.l.f.'s core business, the debt used to fund the deal during high interest rates.
It's a really compelling case study playing out right now in the beauty space.
Absolutely. So, based only on the sources we've discussed today, here's a final thought for you to mull over. Rhode built its massive value primarily through DTC channels and founder-driven hype. Now, E.l.f. is betting big on expanding that reach significantly through traditional retail like Sephora. What does this combination, the digital-first explosion meeting the established retail pathway, suggest about how future beauty brands might need to think about achieving huge scale and ultimately that kind of billion-dollar exit value? Are both paths becoming essential?